Hey you guys, welcome to my new series called Work in Progress. It's going to be a vlog of hobbying, basically. It's going to hopefully try and cover all aspects of hobbying outside of actually playing the game. I hope to do it bi-weekly, but I guess we'll just see how much time I have and how much material I've managed to gather every 2 weeks, but count on it being at least every 2 or 3 weeks. Not only am I going to cover my own hobbying, I'm trying to cover some of the hobbying of players around our city and in our gaming club. And we'll do other things like trips to game stores and hopefully go to some conventions and things like that. We'll cover some book reviews. We'll cover other fluff related things. There will be some videos where it will just be videos of people doing hobbying or showing us techniques or things like that. So hopefully it's just going to be a wide variety of things. It's not just going to be videos of me struggling with my painting. It will be hopefully an enjoyable series. So I guess we'll just start off with what I've been up to for the last week or so, just to catch people up. I just started hobbying maybe about a week ago. Up to that point, I'd been mostly getting either completed stuff off eBay or actually commissioning stuff, which went straight from building straight out of the box all the way to finished product. So I'd really done zero hobbying. My experience in the 90s when I last played Warhammer was that hobbying was really difficult. The models were not very detailed. They were lead, didn't stick together well. The glue sucked. And then when it came to painting, the primers were not good. There certainly were not a lot of good spray primers. So it was slow and painstaking. The paints were not that good. In order to wash, you had to mix black with water to the right consistency. And painting was just really hard back then. So, I had no urges to jump straight into the hobby when I restarted recently. But now with how good things are these days, it's actually been quite enjoyable to jump back into the hobby. And I haven't even painted yet, so I'm quite looking forward to starting my painting projects. So let me just take you around my hobby gaming space and show you what I've been up to for the last couple of weeks. All right, so I'm in my basement here. This is my gaming area. I've basically taken over the basement for gaming. You can see I've got a little hobby table set up, and then I have my gaming table in the back. If you've been watching our How to Play series, you'll notice that's the table I use for all the episodes. So that's a nice space there for gaming, got all the lights and everything set up. I guess the first thing I'll mention is that I've been cheating a little bit. I have a pair of surgical loops here that I use to do surgery. I'm a physician by training. And they're basically a pair of 10 times magnifying glasses with an LED light. And that is extremely useful for hobbying. I mean, the miniatures are so detailed these days that, even with my 40-year-old eyes, it's really hard to see sometimes. So that has been very useful for modeling. And when we come to painting, I'm sure it's going to be really, really useful. So here's my hobby table. Right now I'm working on a couple of projects. I find that even at this early stage you have to do 2 or more different projects at a time, so you can swap back and forth. Not only if you're waiting for parts or whatever, or waiting for things to dry, but just to keep things interesting. Over the last week I've been accumulating paints. So this is my new collection of GW paints. I think I've picked up all the colors that I need based on videos and resources on forums and things, and I'm quite excited about trying these out. I think they're a lot better than they used to be. And I got myself paint brushes and everything. I even got myself a little lead belcher water pot, i.e. mug. Anyway, so this is what I've been working on. Oh, before I start, I want to just comment on these 2 tools that you can get from Games Workshop. So this thing is to remove mold lines. And I know some people are like, oh, why pay money for that when you can just use a knife? But I tell you, this thing is super efficient at it. You just go zoop, zoop, and the mold line's gone. Or if you have little stubs sticking out after you remove the sprues, zoop, zoop, and it's gone. And seriously, I mean, it's so efficient. And it was only $10, so it's actually not that much more expensive than an X-Acto knife. And It's really hard to cut yourself with this. I've gone full whack into my finger a few times and did no damage. So those would have been cuts with X-Acto knives. So I recommend that tool highly. Now this thing is controversial. This is the sprue clipper basically that GW makes, okay? And this thing is a bit more expensive, it's like 30 bucks. And sure, you can get a pair of wire cutters from Home Depot or Canadian Tire for much less than that. But I tell you what, I went to all the Canadian Tires and Home Depots around me and I didn't find one that was as fine as this. I mean, this is really fine. Okay, look at that tip, really fine tip. And some of the sprues you need to cut these days are really fine. And to actually get into the base where the sprue attaches to the model, you need something that fine a lot of the times. Even on the kits like Rhinos and stuff, this was just worth its weight in gold. And it's nicely spring loaded. It's heavy. It's really quality piece of equipment. So actually I do recommend that. And the closer you get to cutting the sprues right at the model, the less you have to use something like this. And so it really saves you time actually in terms of efficiency. So anyway, I do recommend those two items. So what have I been working on? Well, my main project this week has been to make this guy. So to update my Ravenwing list, I needed another HQ. I wasn't happy with just running one librarian in ITC against demons and all the other metas armies that I face. It wasn't cutting it to just run one librarian. If you got anything done, it was not useful, and then he was not that strong otherwise. So I decided, on the advice of Chris, to try out a Tech Marine on a bike. This dude is cheap. It's like 65 points. If you keep him base, he still comes with this power axe, which is basically strength 8 power weapon, and he comes with the servo arm, which is like basically a power fist. And that's just base at 65 points, and then you put him on a bike for 20 points and boom. So he has artificer armor by default, so he has 2+ saves, something that Ravenwing lacks, so he could be a bit of a 2+ tank. And he can bolster 1 terrain if you would need to hide scouts there the whole game to hold objectives. And he can repair vehicles that don't have any, but so I picked up a Tech Marine, which was this fine cast model. It's very detailed for a fine cast model. It was a pain in the butt to clean, as if you've ever dealt with a fine cast model, use all the flash and stuff you have to get off it. But you know, we took our time, managed to do it, and it was cool. And then basically this is a bike that you can just get off eBay for $2, Dark Vengeance bike, which is very cool because they're very cheap to get and they're nice. It comes with the legs cut at the waist. So he has this cape and everything. So what I had to do is cut this dude at the waist, which I thought, oh, this might be hard with a knife. But all I did was, I'll tell you what, I took this thing, I found out where I wanted to cut the guy, and then I just went chunk, and it came apart. Boom, just like that. Big clean cut right across the whole model. Literally turned it into like a 2-second process, and then it was a perfect cut. If I zoom in here, you'll see that there's still a small, sorry, let me get this in focus. Let me zoom out. All right, there's a small gap there. You see the small gap there between the model waist and the body? I filled it with some liquid green stuff, but unless I get the actual green stuff, I can't fill that little hole. And you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna leave it because it doesn't really bother me, but we'll see. Maybe I'll just throw like you know, like a little, I don't know, piece of plastic in there or something. Maybe I could take a sprue bit and put it in there. Who knows? Anyway, so that was surprisingly easy actually. And then all you did was, so this comes with this arm. Dark Vengeance comes with the arm because it's actually a lot, just like a sergeant on a bike. And then it comes with like all these little decorations, you know, the bolt pistol stuck there on the bike. It's really quite a nice model. And that's what Jamie converted all my librarians and the interrogator chaplain onto. It's really quite nice. And then this is just the stock arm holding the power fist. And then his backpack, I had to trim off the bottom and trim off some of the back so it could fit in there. Okay, and then because I had to trim off the bottom, I couldn't attach his servo arms at the bottom. A couple of them go at the bottom and a couple of them go on the top like this. So this one on the right here actually goes on the top normally. So that one is just as it normally is there. And then the plasma cutter here normally sticks out from the bottom, but I had to just, what I did was I took the plasma cutting part and stuck it onto the different arm, which is just another claw, it looks like, that actually stuck on the top. So now plasma cutter goes on the top. So here's my Techmarine dude. So yeah, I was quite happy with that, and I'm trying to keep the bases consistent with what Andrew did with my Raven Wing. So I'm putting them on cork and they'll be painted like road pieces. So that was that guy. That guy took me about 3 hours to convert. And then these guys are just Black Knights from Raven Wing Command Squad box. I just need more Black Knights for my army, so I'm doing these. So these are the first GW models I've really assembled from box. And they're quite easy, actually. First one took me a while, but then after that, it took me about 5-10 minutes to do. They come with lots of different ways of modeling arms and heads, and the axes and stuff is really quite neat, and you really have a lot of choice. The best thing about it is that most of the pieces just kind of fit and press together. Like, it's really quite simple. You just put a dab of glue, press it together, hold it for a few seconds, leave it on the side, and when you come back to using that piece again, it'll be solid. The modeling has been super easy. Stick these melta bombs on, stick this little pack on. It was really straightforward to do these models. Literally 5 to 10 minutes each, and then put the cork on. This is a new apothecary, so I've made a second apothecary just in case I run at some point 2 Raven Wing Strike Forces. I have 2 command squads, so I have 2 apothecaries. But super easy to do. Really quite impressed with how easy modeling has become and how detailed these models are. I don't know how I'm going to paint these things. I mean, so look at the detail on these things. It's just crazy. I mean, there's detail everywhere, even on the robe there. On the side of this guy's little ear thing, this statue that sits on the back with 2 sets of wings, and then like this skull in here, and so like, oh shit, like how am I gonna paint this shit? Who knows? How am I gonna get in there and paint those belt of skulls when he's already assembled? I don't know, but it never occurred to me to paint things before assembling, so we'll deal with it. But yeah, so here are my 5 Black Knights. Actually, when I opened the box for this group of 3, one of the bikes was missing half of the bike on the sprue. So actually I wrote to GW and they're sending me a whole new Raven Wing Command Squad box. So I'm actually going to end up with 8 Black Knights, because the 9th one will still have only half the bike. Maybe I can get half the bike off of eBay or something, but I'll have 8 instead of my original plan 6. You can never have too many Black Knights. So if you're thinking of building terrain on your bases, or terrain for a big monstrous creature, or even terrain for your board, pick up some cork. This little square piece of cork, basically 3 of these costs $5 from Staples. And you can just cut them. That's what I used for the bases there. And this cork is really quite good. The other thing I've been up to, which has taken quite a lot of time, is these guys. So I'm building a Lion's Blade detachment, which of course is the Dark Angels version of Battle Company. And with it, basically all your squads get free transports. So I actually managed to get a whole Battle Company's worth of models from eBay for pretty cheap. And most of it was just sprues, so unassembled. So just basically saving money. And so I've spent most of last week, other than doing those bikes, assembling rhinos and razorbacks. So basically they're the same kit. I just assemble the rhino, and then have the razorback part separate, and these doors come off here at the top, so that I can choose to have a razorback or a rhino depending on the list I'm running. And so I've got one that has las cannons, because I don't think I'll be paying that upgrade very often. And then I've got these 4 that have heavy bolters that can also be rhinos. And then these other ones that I picked up used from somewhere, they didn't have the razorback part, so these are just going to be straight up rhinos. And I tried to make them all uniform, and they all have, ladder door on the left, and going to be painted symbol on the right, so they're all the same. So that's going to look pretty cool. And then with the deal came 2 drop pods that were basically assembled, nicely assembled. and ready to go painting wise. So I had 2 drop pods as well for my assault squads. I also picked up this. Now I'm not 100% sure what this is. It came with these kind of things and these lascans, so I think this is a Predator. I haven't seen a Predator since the 90s when it certainly did not look like this. So if you can tell me what this is, then that's great, but I believe it's a Predator and I'm just missing the turret. What's interesting though is I think I have a bag of turrets, so I could probably turn this into a Predator. Although I'm not sure when I would be using a Predator, but anyway, I got this in the box for now. And then I also have this, which I think is like a hunter or stalker, the anti-air one. Like it's got these pylons which put it into the ground. So maybe I will assemble that, because I've got somewhere here. So I've got this bag. Okay. So I couldn't figure out what this is, but that is a lascannon Predator turret. I don't know what that is, but this isn't that like a stalker or something, or a hunter, one of the two, anti-aircraft gun? And this and its compatriot are the other part, the stalker or the hunter. So yeah, maybe I might as well. I got these parts and they're not doing anything. Maybe I'll just assemble those, and we can use those 2 tanks as well, just in case. You never know. Okay, cool. So yeah, so these guys have taken me a while to do. The first Rhino took me 3 hours. Never assembled a Rhino before. The freaking treads is such a pain in the ass, and just reading instructions and stuff and shaving all the screw parts. Oh man, it was a pain. It took 3 hours. And then second one took about 40 minutes, and then after that I was doing a Rhino about every 10 to 15 minutes, including the Razorback part. So wasn't too bad. Luckily these were assembled. I had to re-glue some parts, but man, I can just imagine these were a real pain in the ass. So that's cool. And then also I got all my infantry models in this box. I won't lift it out, and they came with all these extra sprue parts, so I can customize them to how I'm going to run my lines blades. So that's great. So that's my next modeling project, will be to get those 2 done, I guess, and then adjust the infantry to what I need them to be. And then the other thing I started off doing this week was I need a chapter master for my lines blade. So I'm just going to take, this comes with like some vanguards or something. I'm going to turn one of them into a chapter master. And then I made this dude. So I need a normal chaplain for part of your lines blade, and so I made this guy. He's already been primed, and this guy is basically an old fine res Chaplain model that I put the Blood Angels Chaplain, Death Company Chaplain jump pack with the wings, and just slap that straight on this guy, and I think it looks awesome. Now actually, as it transpires, I probably won't be running the Chaplain with a jump pack very often, but whatever. For modeling and for coolness, I'm going to leave that on. But yeah, so that's going to be the other HQ of my lines blade, is this Chaplain. Actually, I should put him here so I don't forget to.
Alright, so I finished the HQ slots for my lines blade detachment. I've got my Chaplain with jump pack here. And then I cobbled together this dude here, who's one of my chapter masters. Foot version with a power fist and a storm shield. He's got some Dark Angel-y type stuff on his backpack there. And then this guy over here I just made, who's going to be my jump chapter master. He's got his jump pack on there, which I stole from one of the assault marines. I put a little purity seal on it. And then this mace here I actually stole from the free miniature that came with the first White Dwarf as my Mace of Redemption. It's pretty tenuous, as you can see, so it was probably going to snap off at some point, but I'll have to replace it with something else. But for now, it looks pretty good. And these guys are going to be on cork bases, but the rest of my army, I'm not going to bother putting, 80 Marines on cork bases. But there you go. So that's going to be the leadership of my lines blade, and that's all finished. All right. So after a long day of
kit bashing, assembling, and polishing, I've got my Lions blade here and extras. So I don't have like a command squad or a veteran squad in my lists, but the models here are all nice. So you know, here it's basically 4 veterans with multi-guns and 2 kind of commander types. So I kept them, and I might use them at some point. My assault squads are ready. I swapped out 4 bolt pistols for flamers. There's 2 flamers there and 2 flamers in the second row. And then I also found these 4 dudes with power fists, so I can always use them as a chapter master, or I just have them spare. Then I've got my 70 TAC Marines, so I need 60 and 30, and I've got 5 extra, and I made all my sergeants. They're the guys with the chain swords, so I know who are the sergeants. I had to rebase some of them so that they're all the same size base. And then I've got my 4 las cannon devastators, my 2 multi-meltas. I've got 4 plasma cannons that I didn't choose but came with them, 1 heavy bolter, and then I made these 2 devastator sergeants. One guy with a fist and an auspex there, looks pretty cool, and then this guy just with a normal loadout. So that's my Lion's blade. I'm pretty happy with that work. It'll be ready to start painting along with the company master and the chaplains after my bike project, so that's nicely accomplished.